How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off. John Mark, aren't you glad things have calmed
Everything's
down?
coming up roses.
You've been able to stand at the ocean and just enjoy the salty air and take deep breaths. I'm telling you, John Mark, especially with your high blood pressure, you have got to fucking get into meditation, man. You would love
you
the
get this Shocky Matt stats.
How about some
psychedelic
Xanax,
nature.
Percocet.
I use
that could be fun
Flexerol.
too. Same time.
One of each.
Flexerol and Dilaudid.
I like all these options.
That's mine.
No, the Shakti mat, what, like $50, $60 maybe. That was the secret ingredient for me getting into meditation. I know I've talked about it ad nauseum on the show. I definitely write about it all the time in the comment, but it is, I can't think of one single thing that changed my life immediately and more dramatically than getting on that Shakti mat. That alone was really an interesting experience. Of course, we did a live demonstration. Christopher F. Hart got on one live and didn't love it, right? But you kind of understood a little bit.
I didn't hate it though.
Yeah,
I didn't hate it, but I did not think it was something I would return to on the reg.
And you haven't.
No, that's not true. I did use it as like maybe 6 more times.
No, okay.
And I found some benefit to it for sure. I am more interested in meditation, which I've never really
You don't
done.
need the Shakti mat for sure. And most people meditate sitting up. And one of those reasons is because it's easy to fall asleep, and that's fine, but you'll lose the benefit of the meditation if you're asleep, of course. I don't fall asleep. I've almost never fallen asleep when I meditate, even though I lay down because I'm laying on the Shakti mat. And man, you put one of these binaural audio things on, there's different frequencies for different things. I don't know how much there is to that, but I like a lot of the music, the drony music. I gotta put headphones in. I can't hear my fucking dog bark, and I can't hear the my phone going off or whatever. And then lay on that thing, and it immediately puts you in a different zone. That's where the Shakti mat really helps me. It just immediately makes you focus on anything other than you can only focus on the pain. And then that fades in about 5 minutes, and then this incredible warmth and calm. And I have likened it to heroin. Ask how I know. Like a very mild version of that heroin, just like whatever I was worried about 10 minutes ago, I'm going to be worried
Not
about
anymore.
for a while.
Let me ask you a question, and this isn't, you can edit this. I hate to throw this. You can edit this out, but I don't have a feeling you're going to feel weird disclosing this because we're very open on the show about some of this stuff. But you did say at one point that your meditation, and I'm not saying on the Shakti mat necessarily, but your meditation sometimes gets a little freaky deek. Like it ends in a little how on a scale of like, not very frequently to somewhat to very, how often would you say that occurs?
Not very frequently. But here's the thing. I would actually say that that's more to do with the Shakti mat. Because there is something about how
blood
that
flow
makes you feel that your whole body is sort of lit up almost orgasmically. It's not like that super intense, like slicing through your brain, like, but it is kind of like the post-orgasmic sort of thing where like everything in your body has sort of released and you're just sort of laying there floating like a melted chocolate bar. And I probably could have used a better melted thing than something poop colored all over the bed, but you get the gist. No, I honestly, I've probably only whacked it while meditating. I would be surprised if it had even been 5 times, because that's whacking it time. Meditating is very special for me. Like it's very sacred to me, and not like in any kind of religious way or something, like spiritual way. Like it is so important to my daily routine that when I don't get to do it, I mean, I always can do it, but there are days like if I'm really in the shitstorm with the comet, I'll just go, I have time blindness when it comes to work in general, but when I'm really busy, I can work 18 hours straight and realize I haven't let my dog out. I haven't paid attention to my cats. I haven't fed myself. It's not healthy. So sometimes I do skip days, but when I'm not in those crazy work modes, I can't wait to get on that fucking mat. And I'm usually on it for about an hour these days. I try to let myself, in that hour, you cannot imagine how quickly it goes. So no, it's not about that for me. But I have had some intense sexual visions that go along with it, even if I don't, utilize them by reaching down and taking care of biz. It's just a separate thing for the most part. But it does occasionally happen. I'm like, well, there's only one thing that can make this experience better. A very clear ending. Because otherwise,
you're on the shocky mat, so you have to go very slow.
Yeah, that's probably the other thing too. Is like it's not, you're limited to your movement. But you're otherwise, it's up to you when you stop. And usually for me, it's the clock. Like I'll set an alarm, and it's like I got a meeting at 4, so I have from 2:30 to 3:30, and it's like it's 3:31 so fucking quickly. It's frustrating because you want to stay in that state. You just want it to continue. It's it's the one thing that I just wish I could get people to really give a good shot. And I tangled with meditation many times before it really took. So you got to give it a few things. And again, for me, it was really about the Shakti mat. That just forced me into a different mode. And because my life is such fucking chaos, and there's so many hours that I'm working all day long and all the way through the evening and night hours, that window has to be like a specific, there needs to be something to shift me out of that gear. Otherwise, I won't. I can't just sit and start doing breathing exercises or counting or mantra, which is what I do too. So anyway, John Mark, I really, really encourage you to, first of all, even if you don't want to get into meditation, you should get one of those Shakti mats. It is such a good relaxation tool. But I promise you, you will dig the psychedelic adventures of the kind of meditation that's happening to me in the last couple of years. Seems like something you'd really enjoy experimenting with.
I'm gonna order one from Amazon right fucking now.
Do it.
Fuck yeah! Do it live on the show. Be a man.
Put it on.
Doing it live.
Put it on
We're
Jeff's
live.
tab. That's exciting. I'm excited to see where you go with this journey. You got to do something, because look, there ain't no coming back from some strokes. And we tease, but we are all at the age where a stroke is not a joke.
Oh my God, that sounds like the slogan for
like
some awareness
Saved
campaign.
by the Bell thing. A stroke is not a joke. Yeah, that was terrible. But speaking of those kinds of shows, Luke Perry, he was like, what, 51, 52? He died from a massive stroke.
Yeah.
We're at that age where people can have strokes, and stress in modern times. The other thing is, I don't know how you are with this, John Mark, but you gotta put that phone away. And if you can't sleep, you can't get that phone out.
Yeah, no shit.
That is so bad for your blood pressure and your overall cortisone levels.
The easiest thing is just to plug it in on the other side of your bedroom. And so you literally have to get up to get it. You know what I mean?
My
we're
major
addicted.
issue
We are addicted.
With my major issue with sleep right now is just when I'm trying to go to sleep, I'm thinking about things at work. And
Your
then
brain's working.
when I do get to sleep and I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm either dreamt of fucking work bullshit, or I think about it again and then I can't get to sleep.
That's so unfair. It's so unfair when you dream about work.
It's like,
I used to do
You're
it when I
working in
worked.
your
should
sleep.
not be happening.
It's hell.
I hated it.
Well,
I've actually had weird dreams lately, but I think it's been because I was.
Me too, man.
I'm in the same boat as you. Is that I've been fighting a cold for like the last month, and I've been suckling on some NyQuil before I go to bed, and I'll take a Flexerol. Which is a muscle
that
relaxer.
diphenhydramine, man. You might try that too. Well, no, don't try that. That's not good for blood pressure.
Yeah,
Forget
I'm not talking about good times. I'm talking about I shouldn't be doing it, but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
But I had the weirdest fucking dreams, dude. Yeah, crazy shit.
Yeah.
A lot about my dad. which is odd too.
Yeah,
he
dreams
passed away
dreams are
in
crazy
December.
because I do believe I don't know. I I don't tend to believe that dreams mean anything, and yet sometimes you'll have some dreams where it's like they just stick with you in a way that feels meaningful, but there's no doubt we can process shit in our dreams. And we can go like that could have been, just a piece of mourning that you were going through, Lyle, or maybe sometimes I think we just want to visit people. I still
Yeah,
have
I don't
dreams
feel
about
it was
Jason.
that. You know what it felt like more is that I was the ghost and I was in his realm and I was
Ooh,
like
that's like the
seeing what
others
he was
twist.
doing. You know what I mean?
What was he
Because
doing?
he was in the dream, he was just building shit. He
He's
was building like a
doing his
second
stuff.
house on the property, but the property wasn't. It was still, the property that I know, of my parents' house and stuff like that. Except on the one of the sides of the property was a running river, right? And this running river would ebb and flow, right? And so like when it would get really rough, it would have like 5 class rapids, and so the water would splash into the house that he was building, and then it would calm down, and people were kayaking down this river. And my dad would be like, hey, come on over, cooks up some barbecue, invite them in, as they're coming down the make believe fucking river. It was odd, it's things we used to actually kind of do because I got him into whitewater kayaking back in the day.
See,
when we were both healthy at one
there's
time.
this thing that always makes me want to try to analyze dreams, and I don't know
we
if
never
it's
talked. Though,
I don't know if it's
during the
appropriate
dream.
to try to analyze them. I don't know if they mean anything.
From the dream itself, it was like I was the ghost haunting
That's
him in
interesting.
his realm. It was like his world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like I think we talked a little bit. Like I asked him something, and he said something on something about my mom. Would like approve of how he was building a specific room for like her bedroom, their bedroom, whatever. And this makeshift house, it was just building, in the backyard. It was the weirdest dream, but it was like I was a ghost to him because we didn't sit there and bullshit. I was like
You were distant somehow.
Yeah, in the distance of watching, like an overseer of what was going on. It was a weird dream. But NyQuil does that to you.
Well, dreaming about people that you've lost is fucking trippy. Because sometimes it can kind of be comforting, but sometimes it's horrifying. I've had it both ways.
They say you don't dream in color, and they say that you can't specifically see somebody's face. Maybe that's what it is. You can't see somebody's face you'd never met.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's a big theory. There's no way to prove that, but that I believe it because that's tied to, we did a whole episode on dreams, and there's some really interesting research into this. And of course, like, as Christopher said, you there's no way to know. But
yeah. Well, I've had dreams
do buy
where
it that the unconscious mind or subconscious is working off of things that it has been programmed to receive. And that is people that people that you see, and faces. That it could be a guy that walked by you at the mall, super quick passing. It could be a conglomeration of that guy and your uncle, and nothing ever looks quite right. And that goes back to that theory that dreams are basically our brain sort of defragmenting all the garbage that because there's no such thing as our brains going to sleep. We go to sleep. Our brains are constantly still alert. They are, our sense of smell is still alert, so we can smell smoke if the house is on fire. Our sense of hearing is still like everything is still working. The brain is still operational. So that is always something that intrigued me about dreams, is that to me the most interesting and most it resonates with me, the idea that everything we see in our dream is something that we have seen, whether in a photograph, in a book, or in real life. And but because we're not piloting our brain, it's kind of off on autopilot. And yes, chemicals can come into it. Having a fever can come into it. There are physiological changes that can come into what we dream, or even something that we hear and from the other room, the TV. That happens to me all the time when I fall asleep with something on. But so obviously things can infiltrate in the here and now, but most of what we see in those visions, I do believe that theory that it's a conglomeration of shit that we know and shit that we've seen. But I've never understood this notion that we don't dream in color. Almost everyone I talk to dreams in color. I was shocked when I met people that only dream in monochrome. And I'm sure we talked about this before, but Chris, John Mark, do you guys dream in color?
I think so, yeah. I don't understand that. Like, I don't know. It sounds weird.
I don't understand it either.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm pretty sure that I see people's faces that I've never met before either. So,
well, how could you know? I mean, it's not like they're people you know. They're just people you've seen.
They don't have to be friends. There's like a passerby when you're on the bus
or in a movie,
home, you know. Or in
There's no way to know. I mean, obviously, there's really no way to know. But I think that that's an interesting concept because everything else, our imagination is interesting because it kind of it feels like it's happening on its own, but we are guiding it to some degree. But this theory is that the subconscious isn't.
The fact of the matter is that there's only so many like configurations of like the human face, and if you look at like hundreds, thousands of pictures of people, like you will start seeing similarities.
That is true. I feel like every time I go into a different town, like a new town for the first time, it's like, oh, that's the town's Ron. There's the town's John Mark. There's the town. We all do this, like oh, that's and there really is. I mean, body types aside, there are really just a handful of features in people, and they vary slightly. But those slight variations can be quite distinct.
I've never been able to do it, but like in a lot of video games, I recently I was gonna call John Mark or at least text him about it. Bought the Cyberpunk. And in that game, you could actually, design your character. It's not a new thing. It's been going on forever. Like Skyrim.
Since the Commodore 64.
Well, I've never been able to do a spitting image of myself.
Yeah,
I've seen streamers that could, that stream video games for a living. They'll just go in there and like tick tock tick tick.
Are you saying you achieved that in Cyberpunk?
No, I didn't even come close.
I was just like, I want to see it.
My guy in Cyberpunk looks like not CM Punk. He was part of the NWO in wrestling. I'm trying to remember his name.
He was a
skinny Tupac. That's what my guy looks like. He looks like Tupac. He's like really super skinny.
The rapper?
He's got a big old long goatee with the long hair.
Is there another Tupac?
Tupac from WWE. He was a wrestler. Tupac was his name. He was the one that always did the X by his crotch.
How do you get away with that?
What do you mean? It was wrestling back in the 90s.
There was a wrestler named Tupac. Huh.
Yeah.
I've only heard of the rapper. I guess Tupac is just a name.
Tupac, maybe?
I don't know. Doesn't it seem like we should be, I mean, with all the other advancements in video game technology, it feels like we should be pretty easily able to replicate faces at this point.
If you're good enough, I mean, molding, like going through all this different presets and settings and stuff like that, you could pull off a Ron.
Well, I'm easy. And bald.
Yeah.
We know.
A little bit of facial hair and a gap tooth.
Pork chops and side chops.
The kids, Sarah's kids made a Wii Me. So I don't know how familiar with the Wii you guys are. I know it's more of a kid's console, but the Wii bowling is super fun. And what's funny about Wii bowling is that when you're your character, you're playing. And you're just the character. But the funnier thing is all the other characters are out in the background watching you bowl. There's something they die laughing at. Because even when I'm not playing with them and I'm not even there in the room, Ronnie is somewhere in the background watching them all bowl. And, they love that. But so far the Wii avatar is the one that looks most like me that I've seen in a video game.
Yeah, the newer video games are really more in depth with detail and stuff. They look like you got scanned into the game. I mean,
well, I think about I always think about Journey. Remember the video game Journey?
Sure.
They had actual scans of their faces. It was the band.
Oh, yeah,
that wasn't
right.
like 1982 or 83.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't the avatars today look as good as Journey looked?
Yeah, that was what.
Maybe they do. I'm not playing these new games, but it sounds like you're saying they don't.
No, they do. I mean, I'm just not good at it. Is all.
So, do you all have avatars of yourself? Do they even? Is that? Am I using the right word? The avatar.
You know, what's funny is Xbox has had them for years since the Wii came out. They mimicked that, but just last week they ended that program, and so everyone was. They were like, "Say goodbye to your avatars. They're leaving." So, like, I guess they've been removed from the Xbox, but. This just happened like 2 days ago. It's so weird. Huh.
Yeah. Weird.
Topical. But yeah, the Xbox just did away with them because what I liked about them, back in the day, is when you play games, you would unlock things like for doing achievements. So if you beat a game that was really tough, you'd earn a prop from the game, and your little avatar would be dancing around with your favorite chainsaw gun from Gears of War. Then it was fucking cool.
Okay, like, but it wasn't you playing in the game.
I mean, no, there's not. It's not like that. No.
See, that's what I'm saying. Why aren't we at that stage yet? Why can't you play?
Nobody wants to be themselves, Ron.
What's a new game? I am so out of touch. Just name a new first-person shooter.
Skyrim is an older game. Oh shit! How old is Skyrim? Probably 20 years by now.
I've been hearing about Skyrim for a long time.
Yeah, and you could get pretty damn close.
As a player.
There's a lot.
I would say Elden Ring is what are you talking about, like designing a character?
Yeah, when you design your character.
Like, why can't you be like, okay, look, you guys know that I'm an old school gamer, so I don't know any of the new games. But let's say that I could play The Legend of Zelda on NES with a fat, short, little bald sideburn dude.
You're not gonna do it.
No, I know it can't do that.
If you there's tons of games now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
tons of games that have
tons of games. And if you want to spend like 2-3 hours doing that, you can make something that looks like basically exactly identical to yourself.
Well, that's what I was saying. I figured we had to have had that technology, but I don't see it.
You have to put the time in, and I just I can't be fucking arsed, and I'm just like, looks good enough.
Yeah, random. I
might switch up the hairstyle and the jewelry and the tattoos and stuff a little bit, and be like, all right, that's cool, that's good. I'm gonna have a fucking helmet on anyways, so who fucking cares?
You know what my fucking favorite game to do that in is XCOM 2. I am constantly modeling those soldiers as fucking cool as I can. You command like a squad of soldiers, and you can make them look however you want. They have 1,000 props you can put on their faces and hair dyes and
big tits, big ass.
Their lips. Well, it doesn't really focus on the body parts so much. It's the cool armor.
What are we doing this for? It's 2025. Why are we even still here? If Spaceship Earth can't provide me with a world where a fucking Dad Bod Ron is running around in the jungle, shooting aliens and
VR
saving
style.
big tittied, big ass women, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah. What are we doing any of this for?
Preach.
All right, next game that I play that has like a robust character creator, I'm making fucking Dad Bod Ron. That's it.
Fuck yeah.
There you go.
Let me send you the photo of him in the bathtub so you have a perfect model. Okay?
Do it.
Right.
Me hates it forever. You hands me the sponge.
Create the character.
There'll be a time, Ron, where when you see that bathtub footage, you think, God, I look good.
Right.
We're not quite there yet. we might be there yet. It's like, what was I so afraid of? Well, that's a tight midsection. Leaning over and vomiting in the bathtub pose.
I still got both my teeth.
I don't know what I do without old choppers here.
Yeah, call them old choppers.
Well, let me ask you guys this: is that even an interest?
What?
Because it seems like if we have the technology, do people even, as gamers, do you even want to play as yourself, or do you just want to get lost into the story and the characters that they provided?
Give me some customization. Like, let me choose some shit. Like XCOM 2 is a perfect example. You can like change all their armor up and their hairstyles so they all look fucking cool. I will usually make one kind of look like me just because I can.
Yeah, a little bit of Twilight hair.
For a little representation, But
have you ever played Twilight as yourself, Chris?
I haven't. No.
Well,
but I might.
I guess that answers the question. I mean, most people are just like, well, I don't know.
Well,
But
Ron, there's an option you could just put randomized too, and it'll just randomly create.
I bet Baldur's Gate 3, you could make a total Ron in
how
that.
dare
Baldur's
you?
Gate game.
Baldur's
so,
Gate, you son of a bitch. Baldur's Gap, you mean?
Baldur's Gap 3,
I
think we
full
could
head of Hair's Gate.
Baldur's Gape.
Baldur's Gap.
You son of a bitch. Baldur's Gape, Bath
I
Edition.
think Small Cock Fantasy Star Online would be a great place to put them.
Yeah. You know what's funny is the other video game that I purchased of late was the whole expansions of Mass Effect. I think you were talking about it, Chris, about trying to play it.
Oh, they're so good.
I haven't started it yet, but I've played all the games. I already beat it.
Just do it in one fell swoop, man. Just don't stop.
All right.
Well, look, the only reason I brought
go ahead. You can make a character that looks like yourself in that too.
Okay.
It's okay. I mean, it's a
Pretty
fucking
right.
20-year-old game at this point, but
Well, the only reason
right?
I bring it up is because I was watching a gamer
remastered.
streaming on TikTok the other night, and he was clearly playing a game that was not where the main character was probably not. He was a hilarious black dude, and his character was this big, beautiful black, big bootied, big tittied goddess wearing almost nothing. In fact, I think it was a G-string and topless. I was like, I can tell by the rest of this game that's not the main character normally. So I know there are mods, and they used to call them skins. I don't know if that's still the technology, but you used to be able to get. I remember when I got Sims back in the day. My cousin and I were like, we heard that there were these skins you could get for the Sims character that, when they get nude and hop in the hot tub or they're pooping or whatever, you can make them nude and instead of being blurred out. And that was fucking hilarious. I mean, in 2002 or 99 or whenever the fuck we were playing Sims, that was some pretty exciting shit. So I saw that and I'm like, that's hilarious. Well, you can make your own character. I was like, well, why isn't everyone playing as themselves? But I don't know. Maybe it's a narcissist thing. I guess the Ronster just wants to go battling demons and ghouls.
Now I think it's a challenge. I think everybody out here listening on the podcast should, if you have any kind of gaming
make
abilities, is to make yourself a Ron character, any video game.
Make a Ron and send us
make your best.
Send it to Facebook. And,
let's
make your best avatar for
This
Ron.
fucking segment just gave me a reason to live.
Listen, I'm going to say right out in the open, I'm not interested in your Baldur's Gape avatars. Let's just skip right past that.
Baldur's Gap.
We've already covered Baldur's Gape.
That's actually probably a pretty good one. I think you could.
Here we go. All right, fine.
Pretty fucking.
Look, I know a good joke when I hear it.
Just make him a dwarf and have a big pot belly. And...
Oh man!
Well, see, I would love.
Let's just quit this podcast.
I would love
do
to.
that right now.
There's got to be a way to do 8-bit versions of yourself with all these mods and with all these like emulators. If I could put myself, like seriously, if you really picture Mario, take away the mustache, take away the hat. You can leave.
Skyrim came out.
He's got suspenders. Put on a vest and make it sideburns.
Oh, good.
2011. That would basically be me. I would be happy enough with that. I just want to see myself fucking chasing giant mushrooms and saving the princess.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have been seeing the same thing in your town, but they've started rolling out these, those like speed checkers, as you're going by, it's like too fast.
Oh, yeah,
it shows you the fucking speed you get.
They got a little toe to them. That
Little radar gun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, the ones in my town have like a little, like once you get down to the speed limit, it gives you a little smiley face now, like an emoji at the end of it. Like you hit the speed, ding, nice job.
Mm-hmm.
But it immediately had an effect on me where I was like, well, can I get the angry emoji if I really go fast? Like,
What do I got to do to get a Mr. Yuck?
And I wanted to go. I was like, I got to get that score. It had that. Have you guys seen anything like
that's
this?
not good. Hopefully that hasn't had the response widespread.
It'd be funny is if when you went through it too fast, it just showed a picture of your license plate.
Yeah, it's like,
that's
Be
smart.
ready for your ticket.
That is smart.
Yeah.
That's scary.
funny.
Most people are like, what is that? I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even
I
if
know
it just
my
gave the
license
digital
plate.
readout. But, I was thinking That's funny that your mind went the other direction. I was thinking, well, smiley face is fun, but can I get tits? Can I get a high def?
How do I get tits?
Can I just get a daily tits if I hit my speed limits at all the checkpoints?
This is some kind of Rorschach test right now between you and I.
I don't know who's worse.
Yeah, I don't either.
Me wanting naked women or you wanting to speed until you get a Mr. Yuck face on the fucking street. It's like, slow down, you murderous cunt.
Whoa, dude. I just want to see the fear emoji. Like, oh my God.
It just goes to that open mouth, like,
tombstone emoji.
just tears. You're gonna kill something or somebody. Yeah.
It'd be worse if you do it at night. You do it at night, and all of a sudden it has like 3 aliens pop up, and you're like, "Oh, looking up at the sky."
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah.
Get me to fucking pay. Although that might get me to speed all the way into the forest. Have you guys been following the fact that we now have people literally stranded in space?
Yes, they've been there for 5 months or something.
They've been there since June. And
yeah, it was supposed to be like a 1 day thing, right?
Like a week,
crazy.
to 10 days outside number. And it was supposed to be like a test flight for the Starliner spacecraft, which, by the way, was made by Boeing, which did not have a stellar 2024. Boeing is not in good shape by any stretch, but I did want to read this. This is so 2 NASA astronauts. This is from CBS News. 2 NASA astronauts who flew up to the ISS in a Boeing Starliner capsule for a round trip that was supposed to last just over a week will be stuck in space for closer to a year before they can come home. Despite the astronauts' longer than expected stay at the space station, officials have insisted that Suni Williams and Butch, Suni and Butch, there's so much to making a movie about this. Suni and Butch's 1 week in space aren't stranded in space. That's what they say. Well, they're not floating around in space. I mean, they're at the International Space Station and there are supplies. But I mean, imagine thinking you're going anywhere for a week and getting stuck there for a year, let alone space like this. So
that's not really necessarily food. That's just dry, packeted, fucking dehydrated things.
It's full-on life in space, whatever that entails, along with the physical stuff.
I think the hospital food that I had was probably better than what they're eating.
Oh, yeah, the hospital food can be good. It's not always good, but it can be.
I thought my hospital food sucked.
Oh, that's a bummer.
It was gross.
You got special dietary restrictions.
But I'm thinking the guys in space got it worse.
Probably do. That's a good question. I wonder what modern space food is. Maybe I'll look that up if we have time after this.
It's strictly dehydrated shit, isn't it? They just
add water. I don't think so anymore. I think that we have improved. I mean, even the stuff that they were going up in the Apollo missions. They had beef stew. They had it was like, it wasn't freeze dried. It was just vacuum sealed. It had to be, it had a shelf life. This wasn't like, I mean, this was perishable goods, but they, again, were only supposed to be up there for so long. So that's an interesting question. But I bet that there are refrigeration stations up on the ISS. I mean, it's a floating lab. So
space is pretty cold.
But who knows how many supplies they've got that stocked with. This would all make like a separate interesting podcast. But I want to finish the story here. Williams and Wilmore, maybe that's the better name for the movie, blasted off to the space station in June. Their mission was supposed to take, that's basically repeating it. Skip ahead. 8 days to 8 months and 9 or 10 months, whatever it is, we're going to do the very best job we can. Of course, they're going to put on a good face and, I'm sure they're making the best of it. What else can you fucking do? Getting really good at backgammon up there, I suppose. But capsule safely returned to Earth in September with no one on board. So they were supposed to return in that self-returning part, but something went haywire and they were able to dock. I don't know if they were actually even supposed to go to the space station, but they were able to dock and get on the space station as essentially a lifeboat. They're really downplaying this, like for a, what's it called, public relations sort of thing. But there's no question. They are stranded there. I mean, they were supposed to be there for a fucking week. But It said on Tuesday, December 17th, NASA announced that Williams and Wilmore would return to Earth after the agency's new SpaceX crew arrives at the space station. But apparently that won't happen until at least end of March or the end of April. That's the window that they're looking at. So
it's not too bad.
It will be about a year. But I thought this was interesting that this is not the longest that anyone had been stuck up there. 2 cosmonauts were supposed to be on a 6-month stay, but that turned into just over a year when their Soyuz ship became disabled and a replacement had to be launched up to the trio so that they could return to Earth in 2023. That recently happened. I don't know what we were busy doing then that we weren't paying attention, but...
Well, it blew my mind to know that it's international, space station. So, I mean, it's literally every continent has their own astronauts that have access to the...
Well, yeah, there's only a few. I mean, it's it's just us, Russia, and China, right? I mean, do the Canadians have...
I think they do. I think Australia actually has that.
Let's find out what
now.
Nations have astronauts. Soviet Union or Russia, Russia, U.S., and China. That's the only that doesn't mean that that's the only people that have been in space and that have been
No.
I guess it's not just astronauts that have gone up there. Anyway, I found that interesting that they're up there. Get out your phone app that tracks satellites and see them coming over. It's a little crowded up there. It's just, I'm baffled about what life must be like on
I was watching
the space station.
It was an interview of they were basically talking to the press, astronauts that came back, and it was funny because they had weird tics. So like one guy, he was like using a pin and he was riding on the air with it, and he threw it up in the air like he would in space to grab his drink.
Yeah.
And he physically did this, I mean, obviously the pin hit the floor and he went to take a drink and he just assumed, that there was no gravity because he was up in the space station for so long.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the only one. There's a lot of the astronauts were like that. They had these weird tics of what they, normally would do up in space.
Get fucking used to it. I got a friend
he couldn't do it anymore. It was like, oh fuck, I'm back on the Earth.
I got a friend that just came off of a week-long cruise, and she was saying that she's still finding her Earth legs
back.
She got sea legs walking around, and it's like, it's funny because those things are huge. Those cruise ships are huge, but there's still enough movement where you got to go through that period of your equilibrium adjust, your muscles adjust, and then when that stops, another disorienting adjustment. So here's an interesting page I found. Types of space food. It does look like we're still mostly in pouch land, but a lot of this looks like the Ronster's cupboard right now. A lot of tinned fish, canned
sardines,
foods such as retort pouch foods and canned foods. These could be eaten directly from the pouch after eating. Rehydratable foods, which is the classic thing. Natural and semi-dried foods and condiments. God, I think Lyle's right. I don't think they've really improved upon space food all that much from what I'm seeing. Wouldn't you think that they'd figure out refrigeration and cooking up there? I guess
it must be transport. It must be just hard to bring things that you can't just vacuum seal into little tiny containers, right?
You're right.
Also, like
trajectories and all that can be thrown off by the slightest things. Yeah, so you wouldn't want to.
Well, the thing
pack
is
half
like
a cow.
If you had, say, like a little tray that has a top to it that's vacuum sealed, and that little tray is full of grapes. Well, in space, you would open it up, and as soon as you'd opened it up, those grapes would be going everywhere, every which way.
Like, here are your grapes, Lyle.
And you would try, and you'd probably bounce a few off the fucking
Pac-Man.
And they're landing in the instruments, and God
I
knows
think you guys should really make an effort to watch that movie I told you about called ISS, about how they're watching the war unfold beneath them.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like they did a pretty good job of showing what it might be like to live on that. Because there's a few normal days too. It was a decent watch
goes
too.
Down, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting question.
I never thought of that.
Can astronauts drink alcohol in space? It
They
says
probably have wine.
Buzz Aldrin remains the only astronaut. I feel like we might have talked about this back in the old show. Buzz Aldrin remains the only astronaut to drink alcohol in space, and more significantly, on the moon. I don't know if I remember Buzz. Maybe that's how he got his nickname. As the Apollo 11 lunar module sat on the moon's surface.
Wait a hard the lunar.
Hard of the lunar.
I give lunar the hard R.
Hard
Before Armstrong, they completed the Holy Communion. So NASA has banned consuming alcohol on any space mission. This is because it is critical. But that includes... So it's dry January all year round on the space station.
I would have to have me a big swiggy whiskey coming down those steps if I was on the moon for the first time.
This doesn't seem right. I feel like I've seen... Maybe they're cheersing to non-alcoholic champagne. Alcohol on ISS. That said space missions. I guess technically being on the space station is, alcohol is prohibited on the ISS. Can't even get drunk to celebrate being stuck in space.
Yeah. Can we go back to what Chris was talking about? The TV show? What is it, a TV show or a movie?
It's a movie called ISS.
ISS.
And like they're like these new people arrive at the ISS, and that's when the story starts. And I'll just briefly tell you, I like the trailer would show you this. They start seeing after a couple of days what looks like little explosions on the surface, and
that's what I'm talking about.
The U.S. they have their own communications terminal, and they get a communication that says, "Your new objective is to take control of the ISS by any means necessary. This is a top priority for your country." And the Russians get the same exact message.
Top secret.
And that's kind of when the movie starts.
It's interesting. It's kind of a twist of like a haunted house story or something where people are trapped in a...
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking of the fact of being on, because they had those big giant, glass, windows. You could peer out those things, but to see that like a nuclear war,
wouldn't it be wild?
World War III going on, dude.
Yeah.
You could see it if you had binoculars. Had some Ron binoculars that you super clean and been adjusted to see just right down there. Mm-hmm. All the explosions, tanks going by planes, and
I wish I had binoculars where I could see. I dream about having binoculars where I could see the flag on the moon. I suppose it'll take probably a scope. Can you imagine how long those binoculars be? Like those Ricola pipes. What are those? Horns, the Alpen horns. There's two of those I'm holding on to. Interestingly, Chris, you are in the minority in loving this movie. It has terrible ratings.
Really?
2.4 out of 5 stars.
It wasn't that I loved it.
The concept is really cool.
It was interesting though.
Okay.
It wasn't. It wasn't a great movie, but it wasn't a bad watch either.
It sounds intriguing. I'll probably watch it, but it looks like it was a low budget movie.
Yeah, it was. It felt that way.
Yeah, special effects weren't that great.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I'd just been fucking frisked down by the Mexican police when I was watching it, so my expectation, I was glad to be alive, And
it's good to be back in a country that has movies.
Oh my God, this movie's so beautiful.
Earth, man,
America,
it's so much better from America. Okay, well, we need to get onto my game because we still got weird triv. Yeah, you got another weird triv. I mean, you have a weird triv for tonight, yeah, Chris?
I have a singular weird triv for this evening.
Singular, yeah.
Singular planned weird triv. All right, so we are going to do a round of elimination. I'm excited about this. This would be pretty challenging, I think. I almost didn't send you the overall list that we're playing with. But I think the first top 5 for sure are going to, at least, the big ones are going to go pretty quickly and pretty easily. But after this, I think it might be a little tough. So I'm going to send you the list. We are talking about Rankers. This is recently. Ranker listed the top 500 greatest guitarists of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
That is all genre, all eras. Now, we are only going to focus on only the top 15 will score. But I'm going to send you the top 30, along with 2 selections that we have come to know and love as the Ronster selections, and these will each be worth 5 points.
Eddie Money?
What's the number one answer worth? How many points?
Number one is worth, we're doing top 15, so number one is worth 15. So you are going to want, let me tell you, number one, number two, right off the bat. Well, shit. Yeah, maybe. Definitely number one, definitely number four. Number three, wild card. Number five, wild card. So it's kind of odd. It's kind of an odd list. And I'm really excited to see how you guys go about this. I am having a hard time. Okay, let me just copy and paste this because I cannot.
I got a feeling it's going to be a bunch of posers, you know?
Oh, there is nobody on this list that doesn't belong on this list. But
John Mayer, number 5.
You are not going to see.
John Mayer,
promise
one,
you will not see anything like that.
Michael Bublé.
I found that video. I think I sent it to you, Ronster. Did you see that? It was over like social media.
Yes, of him doing the fucking. That wasn't even. See, that's the face. That's the John Mayer face. I really hope they didn't change. I'm sending it. I'm still trying to fucking copy and paste. Oh Jesus, there's the ragdoll from last week.
Yeah.
Okay. So here,
you cheating mother trucker.
Cheating motherfucker. You just leave on the couch. No wonder he's got the frowny face. He lost his dick. All right, let me get my pencil here. Because the first thing we need to do, though, and you guys pick up your phones. You already have it because you're looking at the thing. Yeah. We need to decide, because this is very important, who goes first and second, especially. We need to decide who is going to go first and second. So we were just talking about space.
I don't.
This is going to be tough.
Pick a number.
It's going to be tough.
One through whatever you want. 1 through 100, and we'll pick a number.
Boring. That's too boring. This is based on science. This
is tough. This is fucking hard.
It is hard.
This is hard.
It's harder than you think it's going to be. Okay.
She said.
But look.
Yeah.
Here's how we figure. Here's your question. During the entire life of the space shuttle program, and including all of the space shuttles, how many total miles did the space shuttles travel?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
First, and we're supposed to tell you or text it to you?
Text it to me individually.
Good.
We're not worrying about over or under. It's the closest.
Let me show you how dumb I am. Send.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how you guys guess here. How far off you are or how close you are.
It's going to be far off.
Let's see.
I don't.
Let's get Christopher's answer.
Did I misunderstand the question?
You didn't know the assignment. God damn it!
Just waiting.
Did I mishear? No, fuck. Wish I would have asked you to repeat.
Oh, Ron, by the way, you need to plug in your phone. You're padding.
Yeah, you're stressing me out, bro.
I'm almost done. This is the last thing
You're
I needed.
Horrible like that, though. I've never seen you text like a screenshot of your phone that had a full charge battery. It's
Dude, if you sat next to me for an hour and saw how many times my fucking phone goes off, that would give you a panic attack. It is absurd. It drains so fucking fast. Oh, well, this is interesting. So the question was, all of the space shuttles combined during the entire space shuttle program, how many miles collectively were flown? I don't know where to start.
That's so much.
I'm going to start with Lyle, who said 5 billion miles.
You gotta understand, it's going through space, but it's rotating around the Earth at like 800 miles an hour.
This is probably more linear. Christopher,
and the space program's like what, 15 years old? I don't know. It's a low ball guess.
I don't know science nor
Christopher said 6,000 miles.
You're not even made it to the fucking space shuttle, right?
Well, it's 400,000 plus miles to get to the moon and back. Just to put that into perspective. But we are talking space shuttles, maybe, okay. And Lyle said 5 billion miles.
Mhm.
Christopher said 6,000 miles. John Mark is by far the closest with 300 million miles. It is 542 million miles.
Oh my God, this is great.
Hooray me.
6,000 miles versus 5 billion
miles, and I wouldn't fly 6,000.
5 billion. That is a window. I don't know if we've ever had a number window for these, because usually you do something like this for a tiebreaker. I don't know if we've ever had a window wider than 6,000 and 5 billion. I can't swear it. Okay, so closest.
In my mind, I was like, how far could it be to the moon, really? 250, 300 miles? I don't know.
Well, what's funny is that you're closer than Lyle. So we are going, let me get my pencil here. We are starting with John Mark. That is a big leg up, John Mark. Oh, yeah, and then Christopher, and then Lyle taking up the caboose. So once again, we are talking about the people
That's what we normally do.
of Ranker voting the greatest guitarist of all time. All genre, Ranker. All
they
era.
Don't know.
Yeah, so like I know that I've seen drummers. Various lists like these that have people at the top that you're like, really?
The top list, I think, is pretty solid. It just may not be.
What you thinking?
Yeah, it's not like a top 5 that I would say is universally agreed upon.
Right.
There's 3 in the top 5 that are absolutely universally agreed upon, and the rest are arguable.
I don't see no Yngwie Malmsteen on here.
Right? There's a Kurt Hammett's not on there.
I'll see the light tonight.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, I'm gonna have to go with Eddie Van Halen first.
Eddie Van Halen is a great first guess. That is number 4. Worth 12 points.
And as I was closer in my guess to accuracy than Lyle was, what an idiot. I guess that means I get to go second. Yes.
Lucky you.
I'm going to go with Carlos Santana, mostly because it's cut off at the bottom and I'm tired of looking at half a name.
Right.
That is fascinating. Carlos Santana, number 8, which is worth 8 points.
Okay.
So that's a good guess. You're right in there. Right, let me jot these down real quick. With the cigar burning my fucking face off.
I was wondering what that was.
Sorry.
What do you got in your mouth?
A cock-sized cigar. All right, Lyle. It's 12-8-0. You can get number 1 and take this bitch by the hair.
I'm telling you, dude. Number 1, by looking at this list, and as a guitar player, fits all the bells and whistles, is a man that has a plan. He wrote he was a man standing on the footholds of the crossroads, my friends. And he played a little ditty with the devil. His name's Steve Vai.
Steve Vai?
Yeah.
Well,
he's fucking awesome.
Steve Vai is awesome, but the Crossroads Devil Deal is another guitarist that is on that list.
Wasn't it Steve Vai though?
I mean, that was in a movie.
Yeah, it was with the kid from.
You're thinking about the Ralph Macchio.
Yes.
It's literally the movie called Crossroads.
Yeah,
I don't remember that movie. Did Steve Vai sell his soul to the devil?
Steve Vai played
he was the devil. He was trying to.
What?
Yeah.
I need to rewatch this shit.
It's Ralph Macchio.
I need to rewatch. I haven't seen that in probably 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
Or whenever it came out. I saw it in the theater.
They all bet on him and stuff. Yeah. It was good stuff.
Well, that's interesting. Let's see. I don't think Steve Vai is in the top 15, but the legend of the Crossroads comes from a couple of bluesmen, and one of them is definitely on that list. But
don't give hints.
I don't know if it's in the top 15.
All right. Well, that's my.
That's a painful whiff, Lyle. But hopefully, John Mark and Christopher whiff here too. Lots of game left, but I need to watch me some Crossroads.
Eddie Vedder's awesome fucking guitar player too.
Eddie Vedder?
No, I said Eddie Van Halen.
Oh,
Unless
yeah.
I said Eddie Vedder. I probably did.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of surprised that Ranker didn't put Eddie Van Halen as number one, but
yeah. Well, I
ain't
mean,
no one going to argue with
like
number one. I'll tell you that much. John
Stone
Mark.
Gross or Gross Stone, he's not on there.
Stone Gossard.
He's a fucking killer.
Is my turn again?
It is your turn. Are you going to get number one? I have a feeling you might.
No, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go with Prince just because.
I thought the top five would go really quick.
I don't know that. I mean, I feel like the people that are in the know that he was fucking an insanely good guitar player.
Yeah, for sure. Incredible.
But I don't know if he's well known enough.
Not for Ranker, he ain't.
Exactly.
Wow.
The problem is he changed his name to a symbol. If he would have kept his name, then probably
here's the thing.
Awards.
Well, the thing with Prince is, yes, fucking phenomenal guitarist, but no one thinks of him as that. You have to have seen the right videos or been to one of his shows, because even in his songs, he rarely really breaks loose. But during the live shows, he'll occasionally let go. And Prince was fucking funny because he was so flamboyant and such a showman, but he rarely showed off his true guitar skills. And it's like, where the fuck were you hiding that? It's like, why aren't you leading with that?
Right.
I would put him neck and neck with Eddie Van Halen. I would put him neck and neck with any of these people. Like in terms of like technical and just what he's doing and how fucking rocking it sounds.
There's this a studded band playing for one of the talk show hosts in the 90s, and it had maybe Dave Grohl playing drums and somebody else singing, and Prince is playing guitar, and fucking he ripped on this solo.
Oh, he was incredible.
And he played it was like a 5-minute solo. He just fucking kept going. It was insane. It was
if you know your instrument well enough, you can just go anywhere. Well, Prince was one such, but Ranker did not give Prince much love, but he was absolutely on the list in 15th place, which is not a zero. Yeah, that brings you up to 13 to Christopher's 8. Chris, number one, standing up there all alone. Are you going to get it?
Boing.
I'm going to go with Jimi Hendrix.
You will get it. Jimi Hendrix, number fucking one. I thought that would have come up in the first round.
Not a fan of Jimi Hendrix.
You been playing backwards?
If our Ben is listening, he's going to be so disappointed. Remember when he did the, what was it? It was like some outtakes or some, it was awesome. We all listened to that CD back when we were doing the what do we call it? CD Club? Here's what I'm listening to. I can't remember what we called it, but Ben
album
shared.
Club?
Oh, the album club,
yeah. And it was a super cool album collection that I'd never heard from Jimi Hendrix. So
that's the weird thing is that I would normally pick him, but it seems like for me, like I fucking love Hendrix, but I see tons of lists where he's like not even in like the top 10 or whatever, top 5, and you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
You didn't trust it. Yeah, I get it.
So,
well, I will say that, the list is varied. I mean, we have 3 more in the top 5. One of them should be guessed here pretty soon. The other 2, I don't know. But there are plenty on this list that should come to mind. But this is tricky. That's why I brought it. It's an interesting list.
For me, and I'm going by who I think is great versus anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have to be the man, the legend, a Jimmy Page. Cashmere, come on now.
Number 2. Jimmy fucking Page, one of the most influential and memorable guitarists of all time. Chris, you into Led Zeppelin at all?
No, I'd like to be though. I'm interested in some things I've heard.
Yeah.
Get signs and
We can help you.
Okay.
Oh my
we
God,
can
Led
help
Zeppelin.
you.
Every few years, I pull out all my Led Zeppelin albums
So good.
and listen to them in order. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I usually do it about this time of year when all the events and holidays are over and it's snowy and you're just kind of hanging out. It's like I'm gonna go through all my Zeppelin. Last year, I did that with the Clash. It was fucking glorious, and this year, I think I might do that with Zepp. Fucking absolutely one of my top 3 favorite bands, and that was number 2, worth 14 points. So Lyle is right there back in it. Chris really took a lead by getting 2 out of the top 5. Eddie Van Halen and Hendrix took him to 23, and it's 13. Going back to you, John Mark. If you get number 3, I'll be impressed if any of you get number 3. Very famous. He's almost solely known for the guitar, but not a name that everyone thinks of. Number 5, it's a name everyone knows in this group, but I don't know. But the rest of the list, we'll see.
See, this is
It's an
this
interesting
is
list.
the thing is that like all these people like I said, I've seen all kinds of lists, and it's very confusing because like people will name some of these people as like, oh, like he's the number 1. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it all comes down to like, yes, all these guys are fucking legendary, and they all had contributed in some way to the craft of electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it just comes down to taste.
It does. It does.
It's just like.
But again, there is nobody on this list who is not historically significant in terms of playing the guitar. And let me see. I would say there are a chunk of these that go back in the day, but most of these would be considered classic rock to contemporary.
And it's like, are we talking like influential, or are we talking like technical?
We're talking the drunk people that vote on Ranker
talking...
shit at 3 a.m. after Taco Bell.
Yeah, I know.
To some degree.
I'm trying to get there. I'm just not in that headspace.
Yeah, we can't talk about Taco Bell. I'm gonna get hungry.
I felt like this list was a little bit more academic to some degree than I would have guessed. But don't forget, there are 2 Ronster guesses on there too. If you want to chase those 5 pointers.
I don't know. I'll just go with Stevie Ray Vaughan, I guess.
Wow. Well, that is the one I didn't think anyone would guess. That is number 3. And that puts you in the lead by 3 points because that is worth 13, and 13 plus 13 makes 26. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan, I believe. I gave him all V's. No question, one of the most incredible guitarists to ever live, and he didn't live very long. Just about the time that he was really blowing up. I guess I probably should have used another term.
You say that one for that one guy.
He died in a plane crash or a helicopter crash, or something like that. Really, just when he was getting huge, but he had a career, and motherfucker was talented.
So I've always known he's a great guitar player, but I've never been like super. I was never super into him, and like
it's mostly 12-bar blues.
You always hear his cover of like Hendrix's Little Wing and stuff. You're like, well, he's playing Hendrix, yeah, cool, but like Hendrix wrote that shit, right?
Couldn't stand the weather.
What he is if it weren't for Hendrix.
Yeah, I was never a fan.
But the other day, I randomly was watching like a charismatic voice video on YouTube, which she was actually doing, because sometimes she does like guitar stuff instead of focusing on singing. She focuses on guitar, and she did a video of Stevie Ray Vaughan doing Texas Flood, and I watched that because I've heard that song before, but I didn't like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things when you watch it and then you watch it again, you're like, holy fucking shit. And then you watch somebody else reacting to it and you're like, wow, oh my God. It was like kind of mind blowing. And I was like, wow, he really was fucking something else. And so that's kind of what like prompted me to say that, because it was just kind of stuck in my mind.
That's interesting. You know, I know Elizabeth. Yeah. The charismatic voice.
I figured somebody had to, since she's from fucking Wenatchee.
Yeah. But she has blown the fuck up. She was doing all sorts of like vocal lessons and vocal things, and then she started doing the sort of thing where you're just listening to other styles and commenting on it. Yeah. I met her at Leap, at one of the Leap events in Wenatchee. Massive success. I think she's got like 2 million followers on YouTube or something.
Playing Magic the Gathering and shit like that. She's awesome.
Yeah. Well, great fucking guess, and put you back on top. And that could be, we'll see how this goes. That might have been very, very key. Well, definitely was key. Let's see what Christopher does. We still got number 5 and anything from 5 to number 10. Decent points, and the Ronster choices for 5 apiece. Chris, what you feeling for your next guess here?
I'm going to go with Clapton.
Clapton is a great guess, and that is number 6. Takes you right back into the lead. That is worth 10 points. You are now at 33. Lyle, you need a big in here. You need number 5 or number 7 to stay alive here.
Well, that's a ranker, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's always the tough
part. So I'm gonna go, since it's a ranker, I'm gonna go outside my guesses, which were actually my fan heroes. You know?
But wait a minute, before you move on.
No, I'm doing it.
I don't think that there are many in the top 10 that you would terribly disagree with.
No, well,
I wouldn't necessarily try to unfollow your gut, but go ahead.
I'm not a fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan. I never have been.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan, but I appreciate his talent.
He blew up in the 90s and stuff like that. I got you remember, when I was a kid, I got that guitar magazine forever.
Mm-hmm.
I never did discontinue that subscription. I had it for over like fucking 15 years, dude. And I still have them. And you go back in the 90s and stuff.
Yeah.
They just, I don't know, for whatever reason, loved them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with B.B. King. I seen him in concert.
B.B. King shredding on old Lucille.
Best guitar. He was really good. He did a really nice show.
Yeah.
Up there at the Gorge.
Well, that is a great guess. That is number 7, worth 9 points, which takes you to 13. No. 23. Sorry. So it's 26, John Mark, Christopher 33, Lyle 23. This is actually anybody's game here because we got some pretty big hitters here.
Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Prince, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, and B.B. King and
Clapton.
You want to clamp them in, boss?
Eric
Let me clamp them in.
All right. Well, let's keep her going here.
I know all the names, but here's the thing: is that at this point, I'm reduced to because of the state of all of the lists and the things and the whatnots. I'm reduced to guessing people that I like, but I also feel like are influential, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to guess some random shit just because I think, oh, this guy might be on there because I think I've read something about how he's so awesome somewhere else. Because, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Tony Iommi.
So John Mark is playing to lose.
All right.
Listen,
who?
Tony Iommi should absolutely be higher up on this list.
There it is.
I believe he was around 28. Yeah. One of the absolute most influential guitar players. I don't know if it's his lack of technical, he's more of a riff guy. But I mean, he wrote some of the most famous riffs in history. But no, definitely would have been in my top 5, but didn't make Ranker's top 15. Good guess though. All right, Chris, this is your time to kind of seal the deal, maybe.
I'm gonna go with Slash because I feel like when people just think, I don't think he's one of the greatest guitar players, but I feel like people feel like he is.
I personally think Slash is one of the greatest hard rock guitarists of all time.
Awesome.
I think Sweet Child of Mine is one of the greatest guitar solos in history. I really do.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm not alone there. I'm not alone there.
I need to go back and listen objectively.
November Rain is amazing.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go with him.
Well, it's a good guess, and I absolutely would have gone with that, but he didn't quite make the top 15. He was 22.
No, that's for you.
But 100% worthy of being in the top 30. I think he's worthy of being in the top 15, maybe over some of these. Look, some of these are some of the old timers that you wouldn't guess anyway, and they're not the old timers that you even necessarily recognize the names. But most of these, there's nobody that you can argue with. Okay, Lyle, your chance to potentially, if not pull ahead, you could get, you could pull ahead actually if you get number 5.
I have become comfortably numb.
Oh shit! I was wondering if you would do it. I thought if anyone would do it,
Gilmore, my
you
friend.
would do it. Number 5, David Gilmour from Pink fucking Floyd. Now he is not
so good.
what anyone would call a
good.
technical player, but he just innovative in his tones. And
he's got feel and tone, man.
His guitar solos sing. You can hum his solos, and that's how I feel about Slash. I mean, Slash does have technical abilities. There's no question. That motherfucker can shred, but it's hummable. It's not just a bunch of like noise and gobbledygook. It's just good, soulful in its own white British man way. And abso-fucking-lutely David Gilmour belongs on this list. And holy shit, Lyle just took the damn lead. It's still close though. Lyle is now at 34. Christopher in second with 33, and John Mark taking up the caboose. Not by much at 26. We're going to do let's do another couple rounds here because anybody's game still. And there's a lot left on this list. So John Mark.
Well, since this is Ranker, I'm going with Randy Rhoads.
Randy Rhoads should be higher than where he's at, I believe. He is on the list, though. You got a couple points. You're at 28 now. That was worth 2. So he was in number 14. One of the most innovative, certainly in heavy metal, one of the most innovative guitarists of all time.
He was doing those natural harmonic bends and stuff like that before anybody else.
Everything. He was a classical musician, is what he was. A lot like Yngwie and a lot like Steve Vai. They were classical musicians that could play anything. They could sit down at a piano and play like Beethoven.
He was 24 when he died.
He was young.
Yeah, he died in an airplane crash.
Yeah, flying over.
I've tried playing some of his shit, dude, and it's like, wow, man. You could tell like Dimebag Darrell was had a lot of inspiration from him. And
well, if all he did was write Crazy Train, that was enough to be written in the annals of guitar rock history. That riff, so simple now that we know it, but that was innovative back then, and that was what metal became. Like Metallica,
they didn't even have distortion at that time.
Riffs became like
their speakers.
Everyone was basically doing their version of Crazy Train after that. All right, but that wasn't a whiff, so you're still in it. You're only a few points behind Christopher now, but Chris, will you stay in the game is the question.
Is it my turn?
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Joe Satriani.
That's a good guess. And the funny thing about Joe, he's not on the list. Not on the top 15, but Joe, I believe, actually taught Kirk Hammett, and he taught a lot of people, a lot of metal masters how to play. And even if he didn't give them specific lessons, he was highly influential in that world. But it's a name not a lot of people know. He was absolutely.
I want to say he also gave lessons to Larry Lalonde, who's also on that list, but I could be wrong about that. But
doesn't he have his own line of like guitar strings too?
Probably. Yeah, he probably has his own line of everything. Joe Satriani is a walking guitar. I mean, he is absolutely a legend and highly influential. But again, a name a lot of people that are listening now, even if they're in the music world, attuned to this sort of thing, don't know who Joe Satriani is. Flying the Silver Alien. All right, Lyle, you got a chance to put this away.
His band was real inspirational for a lot of things, and one of them was Wayne's World. God damn it, I'm trying to remember the song.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's the one.
No, I thought you were still talking about Joe Satriani. Is like, what band was it?
No. This is. I'm talking about Brian May from Queen.
Brian fucking May.
He was right up there, man, with Jimmy Page. He was a stud in his own way.
That motherfucker could play his own harmonies and his own counter melodies.
Yeah.
He created a whole different way of playing. Brian May is absolutely, I think, criminally underrated in this list at number 9. And that's still pretty good. That gives Lyle probably a game-winning 41. This might be over. Well, let's do one more round and see where we're at. But I think it might be over. I think Lyle might have taken it. But yeah, Brian fucking May. He should be in the top 5, 100%.
For sure.
I would bump Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, I keep saying Stevie Ray Vaughan to make room for Brian May. Yeah, those fucking guitar solos are a whole different band. But let's do one more round. Let's just see where we go. Real quick. John Mark, take one stab here.
This is a person that I see on these lists all the time and is usually ranked pretty high, and I can't fucking stand the band. But Mark Knopfler.
Mark Knopfler, not on the list. You don't like Dire Straits?
Money for Nothing?
I'm not a huge fan, but man, I never get tired of hearing Sultans of Swing.
That riff is fucking awesome. It's really hard to play.
Yeah, phenomenal guitarist. I get not liking Dire Straits. They're very distinctive, and bands like that, you're kind of love or hate. And I'm not a big fan, but I fucking never tire of Sultans of Swing. Yeah, all right, Chris. Again, I don't think you can win, but let's see. Let's see what you do here.
Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters, a great guess, but that is number 13, only worth 3, which takes you to 36. Lyle, you won. I mean, I'll let you take one more guess since I let everyone else take a guess if you want to.
Mine would be a simple one because it's On a Dark Desert Hideaway.
Cool wind in my head. Joe Walsh, that's not on the top 15.
Oh.
And, you know, that's understandable for his work with the Eagles, but fucking James Gang. If you are any stoner rock band, any heavy metal band, any hard rock band worth their salt, absolutely adores the James Gang first album. Funk number 49, those tones, dialing in those British amps, the orange amps, that was fucking Joe Walsh doing all that shit, making that shit from whole cloth. He deserves way more credit for hard rock guitar than he gets. But anyway, well, Lyle, you took that in the end, if I may use that expression. Rankers, greatest guitarist of all time. I'm not going to go through the other. I mean, you guys mentioned a lot of the ones that didn't quite hit the list. So I think, I hate to do it, but I think I need one more quick bathroom break, and then we'll do the weird triv.
Yeah, me too.
I'll be right back. All right.
So can we guess on the two that you made up?
Yeah. I was kind of sad that none of you chased that. I was really surprised John Mark didn't chase one of them. You should have known better, John Mark.
Well, he could guess too. I got one good guess that I'm pretty sure was yours.
What?
It was Alex Lifeson. Rush.
No, he was actually on the top 30.
Oh,
otherwise, I would have put him in there. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say something that Lyle said before you came back on. He had a couple guesses to what your things were, and he said East Bay Ray and Larry Lalonde.
Those were the two. Larry Lalonde. That surprised me to hear that he might have been topped by Joe Satriani, but I don't know. Larry Lalonde's guitar playing is so schizophrenic, and it kind of opened a whole new world for me when I was, not that it affected my playing, but it affected my music listening. And like, I got into Frank Zappa after I was into Primus. I got into Ween after I was into Primus. Like, Primus really fucking all around just blew my whole world open concerning what music could be and what it could sound like, and how something could maybe not be catchy in some way, but catchy in other ways. And
Lair was in Possessed too, right?
The black metal band?
Yeah, when he was, I think he was the oldest one. I think he was 19, 18. Like, they were all like 17, 18, 19 when they recorded Seven Churches.
The Possessed where the dude's paralyzed? The singer's paralyzed?
Yeah, Possessed. Seven Churches. That's Larry Lalonde in that band.
I never fucking know that.
Go back and listen to that shit.
Well, there you go. Huh. Well, listen, I'm a big believer that you can't, It's like a lot of abstract artists will say you can't do abstract art if you don't have, like, you can't do true, meaningful and deep, innovative abstract art unless you have a true understanding of realism to some degree. I think there's some truth to that. It's not a hard and fast rule, but there's some truth to it. And I think much like Zappa and definitely Larry Lalonde, like there's a technicality to what they're doing, even if it sounds a little schizo. Like, you have to know the rules before you can break the rules in an interesting way. So it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I would believe that Larry Lalonde could play every ounce of Sweet Child of Mine, if he sat down to do it. It's not like I ever thought that he was just a complete and utter outsider. It's just what he did with his guitar work was so fucking innovative to me.
Yeah, he's amazing, and especially if you consider him coming from like this death metal band.
That blows my mind.
That was kind of defining the genre at the time that a few others were, like. And then he goes and doing this other shit that's also kind of genre defining in its own way, in a completely different style, just like out there, like you were saying.
Well, who sounds like Primus?
Nobody.
You cannot sound like Primus. There are too many amazing things going on there. But yeah, I was surprised you didn't chase East Bay Ray. John Mark, I mean,
I didn't, because
you couldn't think that Ranker would put Dead Kennedys on the fucking top 15.
No, like it's another Prince-like thing, right? Where it's like East Bay Ray, it's fucking amazing, and like, especially if you listen to punk rock and you listen to what Dead Kennedys sound like and what he was doing, there's nobody else like that in that fucking genre.
God, his tones, like the eerie surf rock shit. I will never not appreciate. There are two versions of Holiday in Cambodia. I think the Fresh Fruit one is my favorite, but it's just, there's a little more reverb on that guitar, and it's just like, it's the simplest licks, but it's the tone. It's the way. Oh, you got to listen to it. Like that shit back in the 80s when I first discovered it as a little skate punk. It was like, again, it was a lot like Primus. Like, this is blowing my mind at what you can do with a guitar.
Yeah,
completely opposite end of the spectrum, because it's way more simple.
They did have distortion.
Oh,
well, sure. I was talking about that surf punk.
Yeah, that surf. The sickest reverb,
acoustically thick and with like a lot of chorus and
so good.
Fucking
all right. Let's do some weird
I'm losing
trip.
steam. Let's fucking do this.
Let's give you some. Hey, put your ear up to the headphone. I'm gonna blow some steam into it. Here, let me.
All right.
How we doing?
We're doing good.
Perfect. Beautiful.
It's Weird Trivia with Christopher F. Hart. A man from Florida who thinks square shit in nature. Don't get me started on the goddamn brown Harry. It's Weird Trivia that might get Christopher fired.
All right. Without further ado, motherfuckers, how do you guys feel about The Simpsons? You guys like? You ever go back and watch The Simpsons?
The Simpsons to me is a 7-season show, and at that point,
I would agree.
I stopped watching it, and the first, like, for me, seasons 3 through 7 are some of the greatest things that I've ever experienced.
Yes. I'm in alignment with you on this. I've been listening to this podcast that covers Simpsons episodes, and they break down jokes and stuff. Just because it's in this family of podcasts that I listen to. But so I've been watching more of it, the old shit. I came across this little tidbit of information. Let's see. It's really amazing how much good writing we saw in that show, and especially in those years you were talking about, Ron.
Absolutely.
One of the show's biggest and most memorable episodes was Marge versus the Monorail. We all remember that? There we go. Monorail. Did you know that this episode was largely written by this person? Is it A, Tina Fey?
Mm-hmm.
Monorail.
Is it B, Conan O'Brien?
Monorail. No, Conan was definitely a frequent writer on The Simpsons.
He was part of them. He was a Simpson. Part of
Was
the
it C, Tyler Perry?
I recovered.
Mama's monorail.
Yeah, I was trying to do a joke, but I was afraid it would sound racist.
Cool. Glad I could step up for you. Or was it D, Will Ferrell?
Needs more cowbell.
Oh God, what year? Monorail episode.
The monorail.
I feel like that was like 90, like mid 90s, but it's all a
Let's
blur
say-
at this point.
It was early 90s, I'm pretty sure, because like it was like, I want to say before or during high school that episode came out.
Yeah, it feels like high school. Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Conan O'Brien is too obvious because he wrote. Although, rephrase the question. I'm sorry, not rephrase. Repeat the question real quick.
Marge versus the Monorail was largely written by this person: Tina Fey, Conan O'Brien, Tyler Perry, or Will Ferrell.
I have never heard of any of those other people being involved with The Simpsons, especially at that era. But I know Conan was. I'm going to go with Conan.
Okay. I'm gonna put you down for B. John Mark.
Yeah, I have to go with Conan as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a family game.
I think he was
perfect.
writing for The Simpsons before he even had his own show, right? Like he was a writer for a lot of things.
Yeah.
For his talk
Okay.
show host, yeah.
Question 2.
Wait, did Lyle answer?
Yeah, he said family game.
Family game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Conan.
Question 2. This was once recognized as a currency in both the Mayans and the Aztecs. You could trade this for many things. Was it A, chocolate?
Bloody Hearts.
Oh, chocolate.
Is it B, breast milk?
Right, some of that sweet.
Yeah, the two could go together. Let's make some milk chocolate up in this bitch.
Chocolate and milk. Let's make some
Like
milk chocolate.
Order up some Uber Eats, baby. Or is it C,
Uber Teats.
catnip?
Uber Teats.
Okay, I'm going to start Uber Teats. I don't know what it is,
But
but I'm about to start Uber Teats.
Joke of the day.
Would download. Was it C, catnip?
Catnip. Okay, the question was a form of
Currency.
currency for the Aztecs
And the Mayans.
and the Mayans. Okay.
Or was it D,
That one.
severed fingers?
Finger for you.
I want to guess chocolate because doesn't it have to be cacao was a big thing in the ancient.
Sure. I like what you're thinking.
But why would you even come across a story in your searches that was so? I was about to say milk toast, but that reminded me of answer B.
breast milky milk,
Breast
baby.
milk. Okay, severed fingers. I can't. I know cacao was important. I don't know if it was used for currency though. Breast milk really is a fun answer. And severed fingers. I am torn between severed fingers and breast milk. I'm gonna order me up a cup of B. You see what I did there? I hope you appreciated how many notes there were to that stupid joke. Yes, I'm gonna go with milk, breast milk.
Okay, John Mark.
I'm gonna go with the chocolate, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
God damn it! I'm gonna be pissed if it's fucking chocolate.
Well, I'm thinking cocoa, and it's right there, right? I mean, they do it mainly in Hawaii.
What?
Is it sugar cane? That's probably sugar cane.
Do,
Well, I'm
do
thinking
what?
chocolate. How to make chocolate?
No, chocolate
comes
is a
from the
South
cocoa
America.
leaf, right? Or does it come from
Well, maybe it's in Hawaii. I don't fucking know.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't know where cacao grows.
Aztec. You're thinking it's all jungle. So I mean, that's pretty much the same environment as Hawaii, but like that, maybe it might not matter. I might get my shit all mixed up. So I'm gonna have to go fingers. give me your fingers.
Now that was an Analyles.
Trade me fingers for you
I like
too.
started to doze off for a sec. Oh, I'm back now.
Then you're back.
It was like, well, we got jungles here, and there's also jungles there. So,
Going
fingers.
fingers.
I'm glad someone went with fingers.
Yeah, somebody had it.
Oh man, this is a great one. During Michael J. Fox's prime, he was offered this role and turned it down. To this day, he still regrets it. What movie did he turn down the lead for?
Again, there's so many of these.
Or a lead for?
Okay.
Excuse me, turn down a lead. Was it A, The Breakfast Club?
Oh, you'd be good at that.
Yeah, see him in that.
Was it B, Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Oh, I wonder if he'd be Bueller or the friend.
Yeah, that's always the thing. Who would they be?
He'd be Bueller. Look at him.
Have to be Bueller.
Yeah, well, at that
Right.
era, he was the lead star.
He's like,
Yeah.
Doc, come on, help me get out of this.
But who would he be in the Breakfast Club?
Dad's Camaro.
They were all, I mean, that was an
Right.
ensemble
Or
cast.
Corvette.
Was it C, Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Hmm.
Well,
Or
I
was
haven't
it
seen the second one.
or was it D, Ghost?
Ghost, like the goat, like the pottery with the.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Wait, was that the song?
I think so. No, was it? I don't know. Yeah.
Hunger for your kiss. As Patrick Swayze in Patrick Swayze's role.
Still my.
I guess.
I can't do it. I can't get that high.
Again, during Michael J. Fox's prime, he was offered this role and turned it down. He regretted it. What role were we talking about? Was it a role in The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Beetlejuice, or Ghost?
What if it was
In
Whoopi
his-
Goldberg and him and Ghost? Can you imagine? He's like hovering
I can't
over.
imagine.
I
That's
can
all I
now.
can think about now.
I certainly
Yeah,
can
Nick
now.
is- Nice fucking vase.
In his prime is what's got me thinking. Beetlejuice, I feel like might have been slightly past his prime. I'm just gonna sort of feel this out loud. I'm gonna analyze here. I feel like
Oh boy. Oh,
Beetlejuice
boy.
was what, 87, 88? What was Michael J. Fox doing then? Although I remember seeing. You guys ever see Doc Hollywood? It's a great movie. No one ever talks about Doc Hollywood.
Tombstone.
Tombstone.
Same thing,
No,
Doc,
not
yeah,
Doc
Doc Hollywood,
Holiday.
man.
That's Doc
Tombstone.
Holiday.
Did you know? Did you know in Tombstone?
That's a fair,
remember everybody goes, "I'll be your Huckleberry."
Yeah.
You remember that?
Uh-huh.
That's not what he's saying. He's saying, "I'll be your buckle carry," which means back then it was a palm bearer.
What?
You know, somebody that walks,
That's-
with your casket
Your
to
buckle
the
carry?
hole. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Barry, you have to look it up, but I'm pretty
I
sure
will
it's
definitely have to look
buckle
that up.
buckle carry.
Oh, wait a
is what
minute.
it's called.
I feel like we talked about this because Val
Doc, I'll
Kilmer's
be your buckle carry.
Val Kilmer's autobiography is called "I'm Your Huckleberry." Wouldn't it be "I'm Your Buckle"?
Well,
Yeah,
maybe that's what
carry.
he's known for, but I think what the script
Well, that's
called
true.
for was "I'll
Could've
be
named
your
it after-
buckle
Oh,
carry."
we got to look this up later. But I'm gonna. I kind of talked myself back into Michael J. Fox because I feel like Ferris Bueller and Back to the Future came out at very similar times. I'm gonna go with Ferris Bueller.
Okay. John
That was
Mark.
tough.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going with that also, Ferris Bueller.
I want to go
Um,
with Ferris Bueller, but I'm not. I'm gonna
Ooh.
go with Ghost.
Fuck yeah.
I can't help it. I just think
Fuck
it's-
yeah, Lau.
Well,
Go big or go
you
home,
won
baby.
last time
Right?
by going against what we all thought was logical.
Not it.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. That's great.
What
God,
a
that's
different
good.
movie.
Okay.
Wouldn't you love to see just some of these?
I just want to see him fall in love. Poor guy. I feel so bad.
This
Mike.
is going to tie in so perfectly with what we just did. Question 4. This famous musician recently did an interview where he talked about that he had a deal with Gibson guitars. And he's quoted saying, I had a deal with Gibson at one point where I could get... Oh, I fucked this up because I said whatever. Well, one of the
Make
answers
up a
is
couple
fucking
nails
gone.
real quick.
Yeah, I had a deal at one point with Gibson where I could get Les Pauls at factory prices. What I do when I was on the road was I'd take them into pawn shops and sell them and use the money to put toward older Les Pauls.
Oh shit. Smarter dude.
Who is quoted saying that? And I'm
Was
just
Joan
gonna
Jett
give
your
you-
first one?
Joan Jett was definitely on my list. And fuck that
What
up.
about never.
All right, so you get 3 options here. Was it A, Mike Ness?
Oh,
Mike Ness?
Social
Distortion.
D, baby.
Uh,
Love Mike Ness.
Was it B, Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it D, Dave Mustaine?
That seems kind of a...
Oh, I can't even picture. Repeat the question.
Yeah, he's got a sponsor with Dean. Anyway.
This musician did an interview. That's a word I've struggled with.
Magical musician.
He's so good. He's magical.
Yeah, he did an interview where he talked about a deal he had with Gibson guitars, and he said at one point I had a deal with Gibson, and I can get Les Pauls at factory price. And what I do is I'll be out on the road, and I take them into pawn shops and sell them, and use that money to buy older Les Pauls.
That's interesting. I'm having a hard time picturing Dave Mustaine playing Les Pauls, but I could be wrong. I could definitely see Mike Ness playing Les Pauls. I know he plays them. Billy Joel, I can't picture what he plays. I feel like I'm picturing a Strat. I'm sorry, what was the... Oh, there are only 3. I'm going to go Mike Ness.
Okay.
I know the motherfucker played Les Pauls. I can't picture the other 2 playing Les Pauls.
Perfect. John Mark?
I'm going with Mike Ness.
Shit.
Lyle, is this a family game again?
No, it's not.
Joan Jett?
I'm going with Joan Jett.
That's too bad you fucked that up.
You know what you should have said was like
story of my life, Rob. that would be the
too bad
title
you
of my
fucked that
memoir.
up.
Christopher Hart. It's too bad you fucked that up.
Yeah. Oops. Fucked it up again. It's too bad you weren't quick on the thing and just didn't say anything and like used like
it's too bad, Lyle.
Guitar player of
Shame.
Heart.
Fucking
No,
shame.
like from Heart, from Seattle. Easy.
We probably wouldn't have got it.
I should have just put John Mayer on there.
All the time.
Fucking John Mayer.
John, I'm going with fucking Johnny Cash.
All right.
We're going with Billy. I think Billy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because Dave Mustaine's had a fucking a brand with Dean for fucking ever.
He's always got metal looking guitars.
Doesn't he play Jackson's?
That's what I was picturing, but I don't know.
He used to, and then he's his trademark like guitars, signature guitars are Dean's.
It's interesting that guitars was part of your quiz tonight. That's serendipitous.
Okay,
interested
let's
to see
go with
what
the answer. See who took this home. See if anyone took Lyle off his throne.
No.
Dethroned.
Simpsons. I learned that one of the biggest episodes of The Simpsons was written by Conan O'Brien. You guys all knew that. This was kind of news to me.
Huh? Yeah.
So I thought that was fascinating. Well done.
There probably weren't many that he was like the lead writer on, but if you pay attention to the credits, he's in almost every episode. You'll see his name in the writer's credits.
Well, no, he was in that episode of that particular episode. He was in it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
There's a picture of him. He's all Conan. He looks like Conan. You can't miss him.
Well, you all have a point of pop. We'll move on to question 2
What
here.
podcast are you listening to, Chris? Sorry.
It's okay. I listened to this podcast called Remember the Game, and it's a comedian out of Canada, and he's a really nice guy, and he's funny, and he covers a lot of old games and new games, and he has a Patreon service for $3 a month, and you get like a podcast where he talks about doing comedy and a podcast where he covers Simpson episodes, and I just find him to be enjoyable. So I've been cruising through that podcast, and he just fucking does a great job. And I'm like, man, I wish we can get to a point where we could market ourselves like this, because now he's doing that full time and making money and doing it right. And I'm like, God damn it. Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
It's crazy because we've been doing this since like Joe Rogan started.
I mean, we all have lives, and some of us sometimes are fighting for our lives, Lyle.
Yeah.
It's just been
I was this close to getting Brian Posehn. Do you guys know Brian Posehn? Comedian. He pops up everywhere. He's like a big heavy metal guy, but he's in tons of movies. He's an actor. He got shot in Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects. I'm going to go see it. He's in town next week. I'm going to go see him, but I was hoping to interview him, but never worked out.
Yeah. Anyways, question 2. This was once recognized as a currency with both the Mayans and the Aztecs. We were talking about chocolate.
God damn it.
The low-hanging cocoa leaf there.
Too low.
John Mark scooped that up, putting him firmly in the lead.
Damn it, I was hoping it was pinkies.
Question 3. During Michael J. Fox's prime, he was offered a role in this movie, but turned it down. To this day, he regrets it.
Really?
And guess what, Lyle? We were talking about Ghost, motherfucker.
No
Lyle,
shit.
boom.
No shit. Was he going to be Patrick Swayze's character?
He was. Can you imagine?
No.
I know. It's so Swayze. It's like such a God. I just couldn't imagine. But who knows?
But
Anyways.
if it was
Swayze
him, we wouldn't
nailed it.
imagine Swayze. We wouldn't imagine anybody. That's how it goes.
Crazy
but,
Swayze.
Yeah.
This famous musician, which I nailed, by the way,
Yes,
recently did an interview where he talked about a deal he had with Gibson guitars. He would get a new Gibson at a discount, then go sell it at the pawn shop and buy an older Gibson. We were talking about Mike Ness. You guys sniffed that one right out. Ron and John Mark got that, which puts John Mark firmly back on the throne, wearing his crown.
Yeah.
And wearing his Schottky mat and his crown.
How's your blood pressure now, John Mark? You feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I won something.
Back.
Yeah, you did, buddy.
Tell us what he won.
Well, keep that in mind when you're back at work tomorrow, and just know that the future is in your hands. You can go where you want, do what you want. You're not a prisoner to this job. If it's ultimately killing you, get out of there. I'll tell you, I am a huge Social Distortion fan, and when Radar Station was booking some of those next level names, one of the names that was on the list was Mike Ness. He was doing smaller shows. Doing an acoustic tour, and I can't say he was almost booked, but we were in talks. Yeah, that would have been a big thrill. I mean, I fucking love Social Distortion. Somewhere between heaven and hell, if you want to. I feel like that's the gateway drug into Social Distortion. Sort of a 1950s punk, but also sing along, lots of ooh, just good catchy shit. And the dude has lived a rough fucking life, and he sings those words. I love Mike Ness, love Social Distortion. And it was neat that Social Distortion came up. That's probably the first time Social Distortion's ever come up on this podcast.
I doubt that. I bet. You know what? I went back and I looked. I save all my Weird Triff now, and it's not even all of it. It's like maybe the past 5 years of Weird Triff, and it's 167 pages on a Google document.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
That might need to be a book.
I've long wanted to make a coffee table book or something.
You could at the end of it all,
like a bar book, a coffee table book. Absolutely. Sit down, have one person be the host. Oh boy, how can you make that? How can you combine this with a board game? Because everyone wants a board game. Everyone wants some. It's not. It can't just be. If it's a party thing.
Weird Trivial Pursuit.
The pursuit of weird trivia.
I didn't get my square shit in nature, pig.
Before we killed Tales from the Space Pod off, I was working on a Tales from the Space Pod board game. I still have the prototype written on the back of a pizza box. Holly and I ran it by Holly, and she's like, "It's too hard." I was like, "Good, it's ready to go."
Good.
But it was so much fun. It had you could fall down Mel's hole and go all the way back to the beginning. Sasquatch was always on your trail. It was fun times.
Raped by a Sasquatch. Go back 4 squares.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Lost in the woods.
We would have made tens of dollars.
Gone but not forgotten.
All right. Well, that was fun. These are a couple of good episodes. Next week, we will be talking about 9/11. We're going to get deep and dirty into that. And thanks for putting up with our whatever it is schedule. We are still getting hundreds of downloads. I sent a screenshot to our latest downloads to Christopher the other night. He's like, "Can you believe we still get this many fucking downloads?" For how infrequently we record, and how many episodes we just talk about what's going on in our stupid lives, and we barely get to anything else. John Mark, order that fucking Shakti mat. You've got your assignment
to be here tomorrow.
Yeah,
that is exciting.
Last episode.
Now, see, do you get next day deliveries? Because we just got a brand new Amazon facility. It's right up the street. I haven't seen anything pop up on my Amazon that says same day or next day delivery, which is supposed to come with one of these major facilities. You've got
I see stuff when I go to order stuff, which I don't do all that often, but I will frequently see things that say next day delivery or even same day sometimes, but it almost never works out that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does. So, we'll see.
They probably just promised to get it out the same day.
Yeah.
Whatever happens
They're
after
like,
that.
oh, well, it's going to be a little bit longer, but
Yeah.
I get the next day on a lot of my deliveries. I just bought a bunch of fish stuff for my fish tank. I bought a new fish pump, and I bought some fish food, just because it was way cheaper online from Amazon, and it came the next day.
Well, I know we've talked about it in the past, but real quick before we get out of here, you got to give it a good 20 minutes. Whatever your reaction is initially, just ease into it. It's like getting into an ice bath or, therapeutic massage where at first it's pretty brutal, but ease into it, just chill, hold still. I promise you, I wouldn't give you bad advice. It's not going to be pleasant at first, but it will be, and it will be very soon. That first time,
it's like getting a tattoo.
I'm so fucking thankful that I stayed on it that first time.
It's like if I can deal with getting tattooed for a few hours,
hey, there you
I'm
go.
pretty sure I can.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's
You'll be
the
fine.
First initial, sting, and then your endorphins, your body endorphins just kick in, and you don't feel it.
Now picture 800 tattoo needles going into your back all at the same time, but they're not vibrating, they're not moving. And that's the key to hold still. You just got to settle into it. You're going to feel pain at first, and then you're going to feel a lot of warmth with the pain. That's all the blood rushing down to. The way this works, for anyone that hasn't heard the 30 other times, Chris checked out, so I feel more at leisure to ramble a bit more. He had to get to bed. But the way this works is it causes like 1,000 tiny little micro injuries. And so your brain says something is happening here. So we need to send all these magical endorphins, all these pain relieving, stress relieving, magical endorphins to the body. And because it takes up so much of your core that it sends it to all of your body, but it starts at the source. So you're obviously going to feel it first in your back, and then you're going to feel it down in your legs and your arms, and eventually your whole body will relax into it. And once you ease into that, you could be on it for hours. I've even fallen asleep on mine, but give it 20 minutes. Now, very key, and not enough of the instructions or people who are preaching the gospel of these Shakti mats make it clear. Your dismount is probably going to be, to me, it's the worst part of it. I don't really feel much discomfort when I lay on it at this point. I've been doing it for years. But every time that dismount is, what you do is you just reach one arm back, you hold the mat down, because the mat is, if you sit up, your mat is going to come with you. It's going to be part of your person. Put one arm down on the mat and then slowly but firmly get off of it and roll over to the side. You don't want to fall back onto it like Christopher did when he was doing it live, because your back is very raw at that point. It's going to feel like a sunburn for about an hour after that. That fades quickly. The endorphins, though, will last for hours, and I think you're going to dig it. Start with that, and then we can talk about maybe adding meditation into it, because that's a separate thing. But I think this is going to be good for you.
Level up first.
And I recommend anybody, unless you have some specifical. I was getting ahead of myself. Some specific dermatological.
Yeah.
Dermatological.
I think so.
Any kind of medical thing to do with your skin or blood flow or blood disease. Talk to your doctor before you do this. I'm not a doctor. And read the instructions. It probably has all these kinds of warnings that come with it. But don't be afraid to get on this thing. It's harmless. Lay on it. Go to fucking outer space, man. And I'm telling you, it's like a drug. It's like a natural drug. We all have this in our body. It's just sending magical healing powers, and it wakes your brain up and your nerves up. But it also kind of puts everything into neutral. Can't preach the gospels enough, clearly. All right.
Wait.
Can't wait to hear back. So the next time we record, you will have done this.
Yes.
Tune in next week. We'll hear about John Mark's adventure on the flying magic carpet, and we'll talk about 9/11. So
Mhm.
tune in then, y'all. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye. Well, smiley face is fun, but can I get tits?